for instruction. Here you go. Take the prayer, please. Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us, as you have been for our ancestors, we very humbly acknowledge you. What are we? What is our life that you have done such great kindness to us? Therefore, we place our appeals before you, so that you may forgive and absolve us of all our faults and failings. Let our faults never become barriers between us and you. And may it be your desire to prepare our hearts to feel awe and love for you. May you listen to these words of ours, and may you open our encumbered hearts through the mysteries of your Torah. May this our study be a source of pleasure before your throne of glory, like sweet incense. May you shower down upon us the light of our soul's source in all the ways by which we define ourselves. May the sparks of your holy servants, through whom you have revealed these words to the world, shine and sparkle. May their merit, their ancestors' merit, and the merit of their Torah, their innocence, and their holiness stand for us so as to prevent us from stumbling when we study these words. In their merit, may our eyes be illumined by what we study. As in the saying of the sweet singer of Israel, open my eyes that I may gaze into wonders of your Torah. May the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. For it is the Eternal who grants wisdom. It is from his mouth that knowledge and understanding issue forth. Na 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 na. Ah na na na. Na 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 na. Ah na na na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na na na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na na na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. No 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Ah no 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 no. Ah no no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no no no, oh no 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 no, oh no no, oh no no no, oh no 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 no, oh no 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 no, oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. So I think we're on page 404. And we're at the break. I don't remember if we started this or not, but we might as well start it again. It's been a while. So Rabbi Asa the Younger poses a question to Rabbi Shimon. So who would like to read for us? Whoa, Beryl, don't hurt yourself. Jumping down to the seat there.
So I missed the class?
I don't know.
Must be because my bookmark is not at 404 at all. Okay. So I'm on 406. That's why I can't find it.
That's one answer.
Okay, Rabbi Yetzer the Younger was in the presence of Rabbi Shimon. He asked him, regarding what is written, blessings upon the head of the righteous one, the verse should read, upon the righteous one. Why upon the head of the righteous one?
Right. So in other words, it seems redundant and seems extraneous. Why do we need the extra bit on the head? Of course, that's how we give blessings on the righteous person. So where is it going to be? On the righteous person's feet? So it's on the head. So why does it have to say the head? What does it mean? Rosh Tzadik. So what's the answer?
Head of the righteous one is holy corona, has been established.
Okay. So what does that mean? Look at 692, the first paragraph.
Head of the righteous one is holy corona. Shekhinah is identified as
Atara.
Oh, okay. The top of my talit.
Right.
Crown corona. Here, this name of Shekhinah alludes to the corona of the divine phallus, Yesod, righteous one, in the ritual of circumcision, for the foreskin is removed.
First, the
foreskin is removed, disclosing the mucous membrane, which is then torn down the center and pulled back, revealing the corona. The removal of the foreskin symbolizes Yesod, while uncovering corona, the corona symbolizes Shekhinah.
Okay, so Shekhinah is the crown of the righteous one. So the righteous one is the one who takes into himself all of the qualities of the divine giver who wants to bestow love. And that righteous one then unites with their partner, Shekhinah. So Shekhinah encompasses and crowns the righteous one by accepting the righteous one as their partner. And in the sexual act, the idea being the penetration of the male member into the feminine, into the female. So the female then encases and encircles the member, and that is the crowning of the tzaddik. So Shekhinah, the feminine lover, is the the culminating adornment and literally the coronating partner of tzaddik. Without Shekhinah, tzaddik has nothing to do. The tzaddik would be completely useless. The tzaddik needs to be united with Shekhinah. So if that's the case, then what we have, says Rabbi Shimon, this is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Rashbi, the teacher of all of the sages. So it's not that the blessings go straight to the righteous one. The blessings go to the head of the righteous one. The blessings all flow to Shekhinah, who is the crowning head of the righteous one. So we have a kind of a bifurcation, but also a union between the two of them. Shekhinah becomes united with the righteous one as the righteous one's crown. And then the note mentions that this is understood by the Mekubalim, by the mystical tradition, as part of the drama that Brit Milah expresses, that by changing the physical, biological, the physical being of the male member, the idea being to open up the male member, and the atara, the crown of the penis, is made to finally appear. It's covered up by the membrane that is cut off during the Brit Milah, and then the internal membrane is also pulled away to reveal the atara. So the atara is hidden until it is literally exposed by the cutting and the tearing apart of the forces, the orla, the klipa, the outer skin, the outer membrane, which inhibits our understanding that the atara is part of the member itself, is part of the membrum viril, or however you pronounce that. So this is the paradoxical reversal of the process according to the way we understand the Brit Milah. This is, in a certain sense, the people that in the note they mentioned my teacher Elliot Wolfson. He's written tons about this. It's a big deal, obviously, in gender studies, in all religions that have circumcision as part of their bag of tricks. But in general, this whole idea of what is happening, what is this procedure that needs to be enacted upon the male generative organ, what's being accomplished exactly? And part of what is being accomplished here is the revealing that the male generative organ by itself is not sufficient. That the male generative organ needs a supplement and a complement. And that's the atara. The atara, which is part, on the one hand, part of the member itself, and yet it's a part that's hidden and not seen until we expose it. So the feminine needs to be brought out to the open and acknowledged and recognized as an equal partner. Okay, any comments? Boy, pretty good. All right, so further.
Further.
405.
Further, head of the righteous one is Jacob, who receives blessings and channels them to righteous one from where they are flung in every direction. So all worlds are blessed.
Okay. So what happens here now? What's the direction that this interpretation goes out to? The opposite direction. The first interpretation is that the head of the tzaddik is Shekhinah, the last element of the divine complex, right? Now, and tzaddik, righteous, is theoretically, diagrammatically, higher than Shekhinah, right? When we look at the page, tzaddik is above, pouring down the blessings into Shekhinah. Now we go the opposite direction, and we say the head of the righteous is actually something higher than the righteous, not below the righteous, but something that paradoxically then is uncovered to be essentially part of the righteous coupling, but rather the head is higher than the righteous, and that's Jacob. Jacob is higher than tzaddik. Jacob is the central focus of all the male energies that pour into the male member, right? So Jacob is the body, the torso, the fullness of the male vigorous God. And then tzaddik is simply that one appendage that is the channel, literally a channel, right? Literally, it's something that flows through, that lets things flow through, like a Panama Canal, right? The channel. What is the British Channel? What's yeah, right? It's a narrow thing that lets the water go from here to there. So the righteous one is simply a channel that allows all of the blessings that come from above, that come from the fullness of the divine male lover, to finally be funneled, literally, into the feminine. So this is, the blessings really are the head, higher than tzaddik. Tzaddik, which biblical figure is mostly identified with tzaddik? Joseph, right? So Joseph comes after Jacob, right? Jacob is the head. Jacob is the progenitor, and then tzaddik comes after. And Shekhinah, of course, is subsequent to that. So that we've now gone in both ends, right? The tzaddik here, and then the Shekhinah here, and Jacob above. Each interpretation. Further.
One who succeeds in guarding.
No, you skipped the paragraph.
I got the wrong further. Okay. Further, blessings upon the head. Is this the right one?
Yep.
Or yet above it?
No.
Okay. Further, blessings upon the head of the righteous one. Head of the righteous one is the name given to the site of the head of covenant, from which bubbling springs gush. Orifice of a flask pouring wine is a head. Similarly, head of the righteous one, that site flinging springs to female, is called head of the righteous one. Righteous one is head in which all blessings abide.
Right. So now we have a little bit, right? This is the third dimension here, and that is that it is the orifice from which the semen issues that is the head of the righteous one. And that orifice, of course, is where the blessings come from, and which needs to be blessed in and of itself so that it functions properly. So now we're saying it really is the tzaddik. You're right. The blessings are upon the tzaddik. They're upon the righteous one. Not Jacob above, not Shekhinah below, but it's a wondrous celebration of the way that the tzaddik is able to pour forth the loving energy that has accumulated within their righteousness. Right? When back to the way we make blessings after we go to the bathroom, we say to God, how wonderful it is, how wondrous, maflila asot, you've created such a wondrous system that the orifices that we have, they close when they're supposed to close, they open when they're supposed to open. If anything goes wrong, we're in real trouble. So the orifice, the hole through which the ejaculation flows, that's the head, that's the tip, that's the head, which is a blessed source of the blessings to go forward and go out into the world. Okay, so that's the righteous themselves. Okay, further.
Okay, 1 second, my book closed. Further, one who succeeds in guarding the sign of Holy Covenant and enacts the commandments of Torah is called righteous, so called from his head to his feet. When blessings flow into the world, they settle upon his head. From there, subsisting in the world through holy, virtuous sons whom he engenders.
Okay. So he is the fountainhead of blessings. And this understanding has to do not so much with the physical elements of the generative act, but the behavioral limitations that are imposed by the Torah to the generative act. The blessings means abundance. Let's in shorthand, right? The word blessing means abundance. When you say, blessed art thou, O Lord our God, what you're saying is, God, you are so abundantly giving, right? So it doesn't mean you have a magic, ping that's been applied to you. Ooh, a blessing on your head. Blessing means you're abundant. You are so full of goodness and the giving of that goodness. So that could be understood to be apply it as much as you can. Sow your wild oats. Spread the blessings as far and wide as you can. But the Torah says, no, that's not blessing. Blessing has to be channeled just the same way that biologically the act of generation has to be through a channel. It can't just be by some kind of osmosis. So too, blessing has to be channeled through certain limitations. And the person who abides by those limitations, which are defined by the Torah, sanctifies their sexual and vital and generative capacities, and that becomes a spiritual as well as physical blessing. So now the idea is that the blessings are from head to toe. A person who has accepted upon themselves the limitations that righteousness call for, that person is blessed from his head and down to his feet. Okay, and I would say also that you have you have a note that says that this is an anti-promiscuity message, which I just alluded to, but feet has also been shown to be a kind of a euphemistic allusion to sexual activity, right? So to be blessed from your head to your feet is also to be blessed by your considered dedication to how you direct your sexual activity, down to the activity itself and its own kind of physical animalistic proclivities. No, you're blessed from your head down to your feet. We have a 1 second. We have a psalm that's a very beautiful psalm. We sing it, the beginning words that sort of bring forth this idea, and that's the psalm of Hine ma tovu manaim shevet achim gam yachad right? How beautiful and how good and how pleasant it is. Here, hold on a second. For two brothers to to dwell together, and I want to find. This is the big problem here. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I took a Christian Bible, so I have to find where they put Psalms. Because I want to, what do they know? So here it is. Finally, I got it. Right. So how good, this is the translation that I have in this one. How good and pleasant, how pleasant it is to live together as brothers in unity. It is like fragrant oil poured on the head and falling over the beard, Aaron's beard. When the oil runs down over the collar of his vestments, it is as if the dew of Hermon were falling on the mountains of Zion. There the Lord bestows his blessing, life forevermore. So the blessing is this flow from the anointing on the head, and then how it dribbles down all the way. They translated collar. I think a better translation is the hem. Goes all the way down from the top, all the way down to the feet. That's what blessing is about. So that's how Rashbi has given a fourfold response to how to read this verse. Okay, good. Rabbi Yesa.
Rabbi Yesa inquired further, saying, "It is written, I have Na'ar, young, and now I am old, and I have never seen a righteous man forsaken or his seed begging bread."
Okay, this is a verse that's used traditionally at the end of Birkat Hamazon. Na'ar hayiti gam zakanti, right? So on and so forth. So the word na'ar means a young lad. In Yiddish, the association of being a young lad is to be a fool, right? A nar, right? Narishkeit. Narishkeit is foolishness. What's narishkeit? Narishkeit is, young laddishness. So it's foolishness. So that's a nar, right? So, but here it just means a young person. I've been a young person, and now I've gone gam zakanti, and I've gone now to become old. V'lo ra'iti tzadik ne'ezav v'zaro mivakesh lachem, and I've never seen that a righteous person is forsaken and their children seeking bread, having to go beg for bread. Okay, what does this verse mean? Go ahead.
You want me to read?
Yeah, otherwise we're not.
They have established that this verse was uttered by the Prince of the world. If so, it is imbued with more wisdom than people imagine. Okay,
so the regular reading is that this is David or the psalmist, whoever it is, saying, once I was young, now I've been around the block a few times, and this is what I'm reporting from my life experience. But that's not the way the deeper readers of the Tanakh read this. The word na'ar is understood to signify a particular heavenly being. And that heavenly being is called Saro Shel Olam, the Prince of the world, or another name is Metatron. So this is, of course, like the great angel of angels. So take a look at 698.
I have been Na'ar, young, uttered by the Prince of the world, by Metatron, the chief angel, also known as Na'ar, youth, lad, heavenly servant. Rabbi Shemuel, son of Nachmani, said, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, this verse was uttered by the Prince of the world. I have been young, and now I am old. Who said it? If you suggest it was the Blessed Holy One, does old age pertain to him? So David must have said it. But was he so old? Rather, you must conclude that the Prince of the world uttered it.
Okay, so this clarifies everything beautifully, except that, of course, it doesn't. Who is this Metatron? The answer is we don't know. Metatron is a mythic character, being, who is somehow understood to be God's second, and is a figure that of great, what can I say, difficulty in comprehending. There's a, Jen, I see your hand, 1 second. Let me just finish this. One of the stories that we have about the great Jewish heretic, the sage, the Mishnaic sage, the rabbinic sage, Elisha ben Avuya, who was considered one of the greatest scholars of his time. And he started engaging in esoteric studies, Arba'a shenichnesu lapardes, 4 who entered into the esoteric studies, and 1 died and 1 went crazy, and Rabbi Akiva is the only one who went in b'shalom and came out b'shalom, and Elisha ben Avuya was the 4th, and Elisha ben Avuya kitzetz banatiyot, he became a heretic. So the Gemara says, what exactly? There are many stories. It's a whole fascinating thing. There's a great novel. I don't know if it's a great novel, but it's an interesting novel called As a Driven Leaf that gives a whole fictionalized discussion of this. Is a tremendous amount of scholarly literature on this. But he became this very mysterious person, because how could such a great sage become a heretic? What went wrong? How did it possibly happen that such a great master of Torah falls so much to become a heretic, and not only a heretic, but also, according to some stories, an enemy of the Jewish people, and somebody who actively tried to hurt the Jewish people. So one of the stories that we have is that when he was engaged in this mystical study, he ascended, so to speak, up into heaven, and he saw Metatron sitting next to God's throne. And he said, how could it be? How could it be that here is this being who sits before God? How could everybody has to have awe and trepidation for God? Who could sit like they're comfortable, and he concluded that there are actually a dualistic nature of God. This Metatron must be a partner God, or an alternative God. So it can't be that there's only one God. There must be 2 gods. This is Gnosticism is based on this idea, and all kinds of dualistic theories have been created over time. So Metatron is this dangerous concept that once we start thinking about angels, we can start thinking about big angels and little angels, and good angels and bad angels, and powerful angels and weak angels and loyal angels and whatever. And you need somebody to ride herd over all of the angels. So this is Metatron. The name itself is a mysterious name. A lot of scholarly speculation has been expressed about where does this come. Is it some kind of Greek name? Does it, whatever is it, the one that's above the throne, or under the throne, or some other kind of words that are conjured up to be, because it's not a Hebrew word. But the point is that there is a long tradition that there is this super angel who comes very, very close to being able to be mistaken for God, so to speak. And this super angel is God's, theoretically, if we want to hold on to God as the real thing and as the ultimate authority, this super angel is God's, so to speak, right-hand man, or God's surrogate, God's helper. Even those kinds of things should make monotheists squirm a little bit. And the word that's used for this person is Nahar, right? He's the youth. So the verse now is attributed to this creature, this being, this Metatron. And we say, according to the speculation by the rabbis, God is eternal. So God doesn't know about the passage of time. You can't say that God used to be a young God and now God is an older God, although scholars talk about it all the time. But we can say that about this angel. But this angel is, because the angel is a created being, the angel starts at some point, and then the angel's been around the block a while. So the angel has gotten older. The passage of time affects, is relevant to the life of the angel. So this is the idea that the Talmud puts forward, and the Zohar is following up on that. Jen, what did you want to say? Thank you.
I thought Metatron was Enoch, who becomes God's scribe.
Another tradition that identifies both of them together. But like I say, there's so much complexity, and which is a positive word. Confusion would be another way to put it. I mean, and the Enoch legends, the Enoch traditions, the books of Enoch have ancient mystical teachings in them as well. But it's not clear, because theoretically Enoch is a human being first, and then he gets transformed and transposed into the angelic realm. So when that happens, is that creating a new angel, or is he sort of taking over the identity of Metatron? So and that would be just a harmonistic, approach anyway. So Metatron is a particular tradition in and of itself, and then the Enoch traditions are Enoch traditions, and then then you mix, you add a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then you mix slowly, and you put it together. But yeah, no, that's an important point, that these kinds of strange speculations, are really, they're all grappling with the mystery of where heaven and earth meet, right? How do we actually get this strange combination of such different kinds of reality? Sandra, you wanted to say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is, I've heard of Metatron before, but how does Michael, so I thought Michael was the archangel, if I can use that word.
Right.
So then how do they relate or not relate or whatever?
Good.
And I always heard that Metatron had a dark side or dark piece.
So I can't, clarify. I can't clear this up.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it murky, and the kind of response that I would say is, Metatron is a little bit more than Michael, than Michael. Michael is still one of four.
Right.
But Metatron is unique.
Okay.
Metatron is all by themselves. It's almost the super angel of the super angels, right? So if Michael is an archangel, is an angel higher than other angels, but so is Gabriel, right, and so on. But Metatron has no equal. So and that's also part of what, that's part of the tendency of these thinking, of this way of thinking, and it's inevitable, and it's necessary. You keep on pushing higher. You keep on creating higher levels. It's like the old question of, so who created the world? God created the world. Well, who created God? You keep on pushing higher and higher, to the next, the next originary point, or the next higher level that all the other levels descend from and emanate from. And just like we have all these sphirot, so to speak, about God, and then we push higher, and then we say no, but then there's an Ein Sof, or we have the 7 lower sphirot, and then it's higher. We have the 3 sphirot that are higher than them, that are in a different level than the ones that are below. And then the angels, of course, are even below, are below Shekhinah. So we keep on creating these layers because it's really hard, if not impossible, to for us to lay out what the landscape is, because it isn't really a landscape. We're just using landscape language for
Well, that's how we can conceptualize.
that's where we end up, by whether we like it or not. But the good thing to remember is that we are limited when we do that.
Yeah,
If we take it too literally, which people do all the time, then you fall into a terrible trap where you make the limited picture the whole picture. And that even Sfirot can be idols.
right.
So we have to be very cognizant of the fact that whatever we're doing is just a smidgen of a metaphor, of a hint of what it is that we're touching upon. Okay, so Rabbi Yesa says more wisdom than people can imagine. Yeah, Beryl.
This is from the last segment, this question.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about feet in it, and there's so many times where people are walking and then they come and they stop someplace, and we're always talking about giving them water to wash their feet and stuff like that. I have never connected that with sexuality ever until this moment or a few moments ago.
So does that mean that now you see the connection, or just that you heard it?
I don't actually see it, but I'm trying to see how it connects, because now we put feet in a whole different light.
May I suggest that on Shavuos, when we read the book of Ruth and it gets the verse about her uncovering Boaz's feet, see it in a different light also.
Yeah, but there I always have seen it in a different light. But I haven't, when people are walking along and they're greeted as strangers or friends that have traveled far, and it's the equivalent of being offered mint tea when you come into an Arabian encampment or something. I've always seen it like that.
Right. No, and that's correct. Everything that you're saying is correct. But what? Then there's all the other stuff. It's not only. Just to be a little simplistic about this kind of stuff. I mean, we live in a society where everything is exposed. Right? There's no limitations to to what's out there. But previously, for as long as Middle Eastern and Western and much of Eastern civilization has existed, clothing has been very important. covering up has been very important. And feet are often like when you're walking along, right? 99% of the time, anybody that has any means whatsoever has some kind of footgear to put on their feet. What is Moses told by God when Moses sees the burning bush?
Take off your shoes.
Take off your shoes. Take off your
Sandals, presumably.
your right. It says shal na'alecha mi'al raglecha, which the translation today is your shoes. The word na'al is also related to the word to lock, to lock up, to enclose, right? So your feet are enclosed. To expose your feet is considered in certain contexts to be beyond the pale. It's not appropriate. I ruefully remember that when I was in yeshiva, I had a teacher, I had a rabbi who was a real important teacher to me. Taught me a tremendous amount. Taught me tremendously how to learn. So it wasn't just the information that this rabbi imparted. He was and Larry, I see your hand, so don't keep it up there, but I thank you for being patient again. He was invested in my being a certain kind of Jew, which I was developing to not be. And part of what was going on was I was getting older, and also Israel was a big thing. What happened? What happened with identifying with Israel is I started wearing sandals without socks in the warm weather, not in the winter. But in the warm weather, that was like a Zionist move. It's like when you wear a kippah sruga, you wear a knitted yarmulke that has political and identity connotations. So if you were in yeshiva and you weren't wearing your black shoes with socks, and you were wearing sandals without socks, that said something. And what it said was that you were breaking out, that you were getting past the limitations, the now, the locking in that that was so important for the yeshiva to set up as a control. When he saw me the first time with sandals without socks, he was shocked and so upset, so disappointed. And it meant for him, he's lost. He was such a perceptive man, right? He was so right. And it was all because of that little sign, because all of a sudden my toes could wiggle a little bit in the air. What can I tell you? Yeah, Larry.
Okay, I just going back over the previous part about the atara, the atara of the phallus yesod. One thing I noticed that I found sort of very interesting to me was that the duality, of male and female, although, it seems like there's so many, dualities of like male versus female or male and female separate, but there seems to be male and female in everything, even in something that's male. So that, in other words, you were talking about the yesod, or you're talking about the phallus, which most of us would just automatically say that a penis is male. Why? We would just think it was, and we would think that every inch or every millimeter of it is male, and yet somehow here it turned female, as much female as male, and that's pretty amazing to me. So that I'm not trying to be apologetic in terms of saying that the Kabbalah is not sexist. Okay, it is, but the idea that there's male and female in everything seems a little remarkable to me. Anyway, that's just,
So that's an important point, and many people have tried to, hold on to that point as a kind of a, in modern times, a kind of a little bit of a redemptive insight. And I've said things like that as well, to accentuate the kinds of places where the system cracks open and acknowledges different ways of looking and different possibilities, and the idea of joining the two simultaneously within one identity. I've tried to make that argument, and it's an important argument. However, and this is where my as I said, Elliot Wolfson is one of the main people who talks about this kind of stuff, and a lot of people have gotten very annoyed and angry at him for doing so. Is that he cautions, don't be so happy with these breakthrough moments that the Zohar all of a sudden is not so, whatever it is, gender biased and so on, because if he insists that if you understand the Zohar on its own terms, it only goes in one direction. That the male encompasses the female, but the female never encompasses the male. And in the history of religions, that certainly in Western religion, what happens, what allows, we don't have the phenomenon in Jewish tradition to any significant extent, but for instance in Christianity, you have a whole long history of spiritual women who become recognized within the church as being pious, righteous, even prophetically endowed. They're sisters and they're saints and so on and so forth. Invariably, they are celibate, right? God forbid that they should have a carnal life. So basically what they're doing is they, from a feministic point of view, they castrate themselves. They in order for them to be recognized and respected as women, they have to defeminize themselves and become pseudo men. So the idea is that the male will always subsume the female, and therefore the female no longer can be seen as a threat, no longer can be seen as a competitor, no longer can be seen as an equal. The female is always embraced and then drawn in to the male, where of course, paradoxically speaking, in terms of this, the biological sex act, the female actually takes the male in. But no, theoretically speaking, no, it's the male who takes the female in and subsumes the female. One of the horrible, and this is not even primarily a Jewish trope, is the female with teeth, right? The horrible fear that the woman will bite off the phallus, by the woman incorporating the phallus will disappear within the woman and get absorbed into the woman, and that's the end of masculinity. So there's a real deep imbalance where this kind of image can be read a little more innocuously, the way you wanted to read it, and we should hold on to that as much as we can. But underneath that image, there is actually a more dangerous and more dark image of We don't have to, we don't have to have the women now. That means, because we've got the woman right there incorporated within us. We've got it all. So it's a little tough. 1 second, David had has something in, yes, correct name. What does that mean? All right, I don't know. Jen.
So I actually just wanted to ask you said if we were, according to this gentleman whose name I just forgot, Wolfson, I don't remember. I'm
Wolfson.
sorry.
He's in the
Okay,
book. Wolfson.
thank
Elliot
you.
Wolfson.
So he's saying if we were reading on its own terms, the Zohar on its own terms, I want to know, is that our primary responsibility to read the Zohar on its own terms? I mean,
No, that's his responsibility as a scholar and as a historian of texts. So he's not advocating it, and that's part of what he himself. I mean, the only reason I know this is because I studied with him. Otherwise, believe me, this whole thing would be irrelevant to.
I think it's an interesting question though.
No, not the
with the Torah and
issue.
this,
The issue is not irrelevant, but I wouldn't know I wouldn't know this as much as I know it. His frustration was, I am a feminist. I live in the 21st century. But I don't lie about what the Zohar says in order to be a feminist. So, that's his sense of responsibility to the truth of the history. I'm not a historian. I'm just trying to be a Jew to learn from whatever I can learn from to live now. So I'll take from the Zohar what I can take, and I'll acknowledge that I'm in a different moment. Okay.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So we continue. We're going to turn the page. We're moving right along. So Rabbi Asa is asking for more understanding. What's going on? What is Metatron trying to say? So Rashbi replied. He replied, 406.
He replied, correct, my son, for it pertains to holy union. I have been Na'ar, young, and now I am old. So it is. I have never seen a righteous man forsaken. In praise of this union, in which day is never lacking night, for night is with him always, and righteous one is linked above, linked below. Or his seed begging bread. What does this mean? When he flings and streams seed, he does not woo the female, since she abides with him, never parting from him, prepared for him. For seed flows only when female is prepared, their mutual desire as one, in single cleaving inseparable. So he does have to woo her.
He doesn't.
So he doesn't have to woo her.
Okay. So this is a lot. So what Rashbi is doing is now he's reading phrase by phrase what this verse is saying as it's put into the mouth, so to speak, of Metatron. So the first part of it is that I have been a Nar, young, I've been young, and now I am old. So Nar, as opposed to the Metatron, as opposed to when the rabbis in the Gemara say, how could God be speaking? Of course, God can't be speaking, because God is timeless. God doesn't know what it means to be young or old. God is above time. So now what the Rashbi says is correct. So it's got to be Metatron. So Metatron is the aspect of God within time, right? Because God, of course, does interact with the real world. So in that interacting, what happens? How do we relate the idea of the passage of time or the idea of youth and age? So look at 700.
I have been Na'ar, young, and now I am old. So it is. When the divine couple unites, Metatron is rejuvenated by their flow. When this union is interrupted, he wanes.
Right. So in other words, this is not a temporal process that happens once. I used to be young and now I'm old. But this is continuous. This is a continuous process. I have been young and I have been old. I have known what it means to be young, and I have known what it means to be old and frail. I have known what it means to be in the union, the mystical holy union, when all of the divine energies are flowing together and everything becomes rejuvenated. And I know what it means to be depleted and to dry up like an old withered person, like an old withered tree, when the juices are not flowing because the love between the two halves of God is not possible. Right? So this is Metatron saying, I am the recipient, the immediate first recipient of God's life-giving flow, and I know what it means to be refreshed and young, and I know what it means to feel completely exhausted. And this is a reflection of what's happening with God's own dynamic. So I've never seen a righteous man forsaken. Praise of this union, right? The righteous, the tzaddik, in which day is never lacking night, for night is with him always. So day and night is male and female, right? And when there's a union of the two of them together, then everything is perfect, right? Then the tzaddik is not left alone, right? The tzaddik is always with their lover. Lo ra'iti tzaddik ne'azav. I have never seen the tzaddik forsaken, but day and night are always united. Righteous is linked above and linked below, both with Yaakov above and with Shekhinah below. Vizaro mevakesh lachem, and therefore Metatron says the seed of the righteous doesn't go begging. The seed of the righteous has a place to call home because the righteous one is locked securely with their beloved. So the seed is not spilled for nothing. The seed is not futile. The seed is right where it's supposed to be, right? Because the embrace is tight and constant. So this is the way that Rashbi is understanding. And of course, he says the only way the seed can do this is if the female is receptive, if the female has been aroused and wants to hold on to the male strongly. So then she's ready to receive the male, and then the seed has a happy place to be. So this is the way Metatron is as it says, celebrating the mutual desire and the union between the two halves of God. But Rabbi Yosef doesn't take that as a sufficient answer. What does he say? He said, but.
He said, page 406, he said, but during exile, not so.
So what does that mean? So Rabbi Yosef is coming back to our reality and saying, okay, so if we're talking about a God that has a dynamic existence, that is capable of joyous unity, but also of a depleted estrangement, here we are in the exile. So this is not an insignificant moment. You're reading Metatron as seeing the glass 99.9% full. Right? No. During the time of the exile, which has been going on forever, the separation between the two halves of God is chronic. So what's Metatron so happy about? What's he celebrating? So what does Rashbi answer? He replied,
"It is his seed, not him. When does it issue forth? When female cleaves firmly to male."
okay,
Yeah.
so his answer is Bezaro mevakesh lachem. You're right. The righteous may find themselves during the time of the exile separated from their beloved. But then there's no seed going anywhere. What I am celebrating, says Metatron, is when there is the union, then the seed flows. Okay? But not otherwise. Now you may ask,
Now you might ask, I have never seen a righteous man forsaken. What about during exile? But look, he is linked above, never forsaken. At other times, he is not forsaken by female, linked above, linked below. During exile, linked above, at other times in both directions, above and below. So he is never forsaken.
So if we say, well, what do you mean? During the exile. So then there is a separation between the two halves of God. So you're saying, okay, so the seed always flows only when there's a union, and that's the focus of the celebration. When there's a union, the seed is terrific. It's never going begging. But look at the first half of the verse. I've never seen the righteous one forsaken. But the righteous one is forsaken every moment during the exile. So what's the answer? Who wants to just rephrase in their own words what Rashbi answers? What's the answer? The answer is, wait, who's wanting to say something?
No, I was just going to say, it seems to say that there's always some linkage, so he's never completely cut off.
Never completely cut off. There is some linkage. The question is in which direction? There's always a linkage above. There isn't always a linkage below. Right? So the tzaddik is never completely forsaken because the tzaddik is always connected above to the divine energies that are higher than tzaddik and that flow into tzaddik. What can happen is that the tzaddik may be alienated, estranged, separated from Shekhinah because of the sins of humanity, because of the sins of Israel, because of all of the terrible things that happen in this world. But that's only half forsaken, right? That's only forsaken in the lower levels. The righteous will always be connected above. So that's Rashbi's answer. And I mean, it's a important answer. It's not just simply a clever way to get out of the problem. What Rashbi is saying is, no matter what, even when the divine union, the complete divine union cannot be consummated, the divine still has an active life above that. If we want to personalize it, humanize it, we could think about a person who is celibate. I talked about before about how women, in order to get respected, they had to lead a celibate life. But however, in modern terms, we can be appalled and outraged by the price that was demanded of people in order to be respected and taken seriously. Nevertheless, we should also acknowledge that some of those people at that cost were able to create incredibly deep and rich lives. So the fact that they weren't able to erratically fulfill themselves in the kinds of ways that we think are absolutely non-negotiable doesn't mean that they didn't have the possibilities of a different kind of erotic life, a spiritual erotic life. I'm not talking about the physical erotic life. And I'm not trying to say that that's not important. What I'm saying is that it's not the only kind of erotic life that is possible for a human being. And to say that it is to deny the value that many, many people live in their lives, where the sexual dimension may not be at all significant or active at all. So I'm not saying that that's what everybody should aspire to. What I'm saying is that we are much more incredibly rich as beings than ever can be, reduced to one particular dimension of human experience. Jen just wrote something in the chat. My great aunt was a Catholic nun. She had a very rich, fulfilling, and educated life. Yeah, that's what I'm driving at. And a life back in that day, and considering her circumstances, that she couldn't have had if she had married and had children. She wouldn't have had time or the finances for her advanced education. Okay, good point. Right, very, very important to understand. So on a divine level, that's what Rashbi is saying. Forsakenness is relative. There are certain things where you might be forsaken, but you may be absolutely, completely on your terms, fulfilled in the limitations that you have. Tzaddik, when tzaddik is deprived of the full possibility of union with Shekhinah, that doesn't mean that tzaddik doesn't have a life. That doesn't mean that tzaddik doesn't have a meaningful connection. It's just the connection going the other way instead of towards Shekhinah. All right, we're going to stop here, and hopefully we'll be able to continue next time. Yasher koach.